Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ng. And Joyce, we're going to do our SAG Awards predictions later in this episode. Are you excited?
I guess. There's not that many categories.
It won't be very long. We
Yeah.
can't predict stunts yet.
No.
Uh, and I haven't really touched, I think I maybe just briefly touched them. So I'd be curious to see what I
I,
have.
I I will be doing these live because as I mentioned last week, have not touched these since September 10th before I saw a billion movies.
So we have
So
a lot of maybe new thoughts, these projects. Before we do that, Joyce, though, we're going to talk a little about my favorite movie of the year, Anora, is out this week, finally.
Friday.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Very
Hmm.
psyched. I love this movie. I'm feeling pretty good that it's coming out. But I feel like,
What do you think like the reception will be once it's out to the people?
man, I thought it was going to be through the roof. I was like, nobody's going to dislike this movie. And then I saw some guy was not pleased with it last week. It was going viral on Twitter. Did you see that? You might not have seen that.
Yeah, but like it's I that's just
One
true
person.
for every movie though.
True. I was like, oh, I guess I thought it would be pretty high.
Like you just need the majority consensus to be positive.
So the other thing I was wondering is like, is it too I was like, I didn't think it was. I thought it's like pretty broad and mainstream, but I'm like, is it too uh outsider or indie to like for normies? Not just because like the sex, which I didn't even think was that graphic, certainly, but like I don't know, is the whole idea of it like not something that people would enjoy?
I don't know. Like to me, it's obviously uh in a movie that uh very small groups are aware of right now.
Hmm.
It's not like a mainstream movie. So like Oscar nerds are aware of this movie, obviously. Cannes winner. It is still number one in the odds, right? In Best Picture.
It is choice.
Yeah. And I think Mikey Madison's still number one, right? And Sean Baker's number one in original screenplay, right?
All of these are
Um,
accurate statements. I'm gonna double
yeah,
check.
not in director though, or is he
No,
in
he is
director?
in director number
He
one
is a
too.
director. Okay,
He's number one in director. Movie's number one in
okay.
best picture. I'm scrolling. Mikey's number one in best actress,
In the screenplay,
and then best original screenplay
yeah.
also. So
Not
four.
not really like a crafts heavy movie.
So this is one
So
question I had in terms of the Oscar choice. You said that right there. Not really craft heavy movie. What are its other nominations besides those four?
editing,
So editing probably, right? It seems like that would be the one.
yeah.
And anything else?
I mean, I don't. I mean, like I like the costumes. It will be like a little unorthodox of a nomination for them, I think.
It's
There's
uh
a lot of competition in that category.
and it's contemporary, which I feel like is
Yes.
a problem. I'm looking forward in the costumes race, and it's in 39th place. No one's even
Wow.
predicting it for a nomination so far.
It'll
So
get like the Guild nomination in contemporary.
so uh second in editing. Let me see where it is in cinematography. My computer's making all kinds of noises. 10th in cinematography. I guess my thing was like, is it gonna be enough of a broad appeal? Like it
It's
doesn't
fine
need
because but this is the thing. You don't need a bunch of nominations if you're not
right,
a techie movie.
right,
And it's like just because your film is not crafts heavy doesn't mean people don't like it in from that branch.
right. All this is true.
Like just people like yes, the data points are important, but not having the nominations because you're not that type of movie doesn't hurt you.
Now, seeing it at Telluride, knowing it won at Cannes, and then seeing how it like anecdotally played these other festivals, it's playing great. People are like really excited about it. It's really funny, which I think helps it stand out. It's very entertaining. It has like a downcast ending, I would say, but not like a dark. It's not like dark. I guess I don't know. Did you think it was like? It's not like a. It's like a bittersweet ending, not like a depressing ending.
I thought it was a great ending. Yeah,
Yes.
it's not like an uplifting ending in a way, but I think it's an appropriate ending because I think for the audience and for Annie, the character. Uh, I think it mirrors each other, just like the journey we all go on,
Hmm.
because it's such um a hectic ride for most of it. Like it really picks up in the second act, and then like a lot of crazy things happening. Very funny, just screwball comedy. And then like her character like hasn't had a chance to process everything yet that has happened. And I think as an audience too, like we were having such a good time that we're not really thinking deeply yet about also what she's gone through. Um so then I think it hits all of us at the same time when the ending happens. Trying to talk around this.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it's not like I don't think it's like a spoiler movie, but I'm sure people would not want to be like, oh, here's how it ends. So we're not going to do that, obviously. But I was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like very excited about it, but I guess I see it as like a front runner, and at least in the odds. We were just talking about this. You think it's like people are putting, they just think it's most likely to get nominated because it won Cannes, like it seems likely to get nominated. I'm like, I think people are just putting it first because they think it's going to win. And granted, a lot of people haven't updated probably, so all of these things are factored in. But I'm like, in terms of it like winning Best Picture, I could see it in terms of like, oh, there's going to be enthusiasm for it. It's like the most entertaining one. It won a can, and like maybe it's like a Parasite or whatever, or it just kind of like steamrolls because people are so excited about this movie that it wins. But I could also see it just being like, here is its like 4 or 5 nominations, and then maybe it wins one, like screenplay, and that's it. We've seen that before, where like the cool movie is gonna just win. There, hey, congratulations! Here's your Oscar, Sean Baker. You are the annual cool screenplay winner.
Yeah, but I think the difference is like no one really knows this year like what the front runner is. That's what it feels
Right,
like. It's defaulty. Like there's no obvious front runner. That's the whole thing this year.
right.
So I also don't feel like even though it's first in the odds, it has a giant target on its back. Like maybe that'll change after this weekend and like, like what if everyone loves it, right? And then like the hype goes through the roof. And then it will have a target on its back.
I,
So,
in
and then
terms of
people
the
will get
targets,
sick of
though,
it.
one thing I think that it's got going for it is that there are other, like we were talking about, like what's the Oscar villain this year? Very unlikely that Enora would become the Oscar villain to me. But like some of these other
No, like
movies,
Amelia Perez has a higher chance of being the Oscar villain.
Amelia Perez certainly is like got to be leader in the clubhouse of Oscar villain potential now that Joker Folie à Deux has flopped, right? So it's like Amelia Perez, high probability of Oscar villain. I think there's room for the Brutalist to be the Oscar villain too, just because. So I'm like, I don't think Anora has that kind of like potential. I think it's going to be a movie that people really like and love, and also like and maybe don't take it seriously. I was wondering that. You know what I mean? Like, is it important enough to be like the Best Picture winner? It's definitely saying something, but I'm like perception wise compared to these other movies.
Yeah, I think some people would think it's not serious, but it is about something. It is about like an outsider, like outcasts, or people who are not portrayed in media or even just talked about generally a lot, sex workers. And like in recent years, the Academy have shown a preference for, like marginalized stories, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I think that is like an angle that could be played up like later this season. So I mean,
I
who knows? But
I think that, and
I
I
think
also
it's
think,
more.
oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go.
I was gonna say, like, I thought too, like a class in terms of class, you don't really see that as much in
Yeah.
films either. And like that, I think they could play up too, right? Between the sex worker aspect and the class aspect. Those are two marginalized communities, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like it helps that they're like even though it's in first, like I really don't think anyone is confident that it's winning. Like some
Right.
people might think it's winning or hope dictating it's gonna win, but it's not like Oppenheimer last year or Everything Everywhere 2 years ago, or even like Power of the Dog. That didn't win, but that was the perception of it
Right.
at this point in the race.
Yes. Or like the Fableman. That's the other thing. I think it's like you're saying, like even though it's a front runner, it does like it cuts it's a wide open race. It doesn't actually feel like there is a front runner. It just
Yeah, it
happens to
feels
be
like
close.
someone can usurp it,
Yes,
you know?
but if it's
Like everyone
usurped,
is like bracing for that.
right? But if it's usurped, I don't think it's because of the. I think this is maybe because I love the movie, so you might be like, oh, this it's not. But I was like, I actually think like in some of these other cases, it was like there was a frustration with the front, like Power of the Dog or like the Fablemans, like all these movies that kind of like were eventual, like thought to be front runners and then ended up not. Uh, with this film, I feel like it wouldn't be because of the movie, because something else just like kind of popped, maybe. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
necessarily like Nora's the an issue with Anora. It's more that like, oh, actually the Brutalist is gonna like explode, or Amelia Perez like continues to play well, or something else that we're not even thinking of comes up.
Yeah, and like some of these are yeah, are waiting to be released, like the Brutalist. Like that's not gonna come out for another 2 months, you
Do you
know?
think, side note, do you think A24 should switch the release between Queer and the Brutalist?
No, I mean they have so many movies.
They have so many
I
movies.
don't think it really matters that much because I feel like the Brutalist is already stronger than Queer,
Yes,
you know? So, and then in terms of awards, like it's just about getting the movie in front of the right people, in front of voting bodies, the people who are actually going to cast a vote. So I think it's like less important for like, you know, the populace and like the box office because it's not gonna make like $100 million at the box office,
no, I
you
don't think
know?
so.
But I mean, I said when it was dated a couple weeks ago, like this is the zone of interest route,
Yes,
like the similar release date in mid to late December, you know, and then you can expand in January after it gets a boatload of nominations and you could tout it in all the marketing.
it's
So
smart. No, I know. I was just tossing it out. So that's her picture for Nora. But so Mikey Madison, like you said, is also first in the odds for Best Actress.
yes. And this is also another very open race. And I think it's also another case of like, well, she's gonna get nominated. We don't need to discuss winning yet.
By most accounts, we talked about this a little bit last week. Carlos Sofia Gascon and Mikey Madison are all but assured to be nominated for Best
Mhm.
Actress, and all but assured to be nominated at the Golden Globes in Comedy Actress. And so, unlike years past, two frontrunners for Best Actress will be against each other at the Globes. So we won't even get the, Michelle Yeoh, Kate Blanchett dual wins or whatever. Uh,
Or Lily Gladstone and Emma
Emma
Stone.
Stone. So one of these two will win at the Globes and then presumably be looked at as the front runner to win at the Oscars, I guess.
Yes.
Now, a few years ago, maybe I would have said Mikey Madison obviously winning. If this was 10 years ago, I think she would have won, like Jennifer Lawrence style. But I'm not so sure now if she's going to win, even though I think she should. I'm not sure it's going to
You
happen.
mean the Oscar, not the Globe.
The Oscar, yes, yes.
Uh, I think she can win. I think she can win, especially if Anora wins Best Picture.
Certainly.
I don't know if she can win without Anora winning Best Picture. But I do agree in a way about the J-Law thing. I think if like J-Law made this movie like 12 years ago, everyone would be like, she's winning Best Actress.
Yes.
You know, it's just that Mikey like doesn't have like a previous nom and she's not a that well known
Yes.
yet to most people. So this feels like a breakthrough for her for a lot of people. So, and I think that plays into a lot of people's hesitations to uh predict her to win or believe that she could win. It feels like she needs like if like yeah, like if Jennifer Lawrence had made this movie after her Winter's Bone nomination, everyone would be like, she's winning for this, you know?
Yes. 100%. So I'm like, and now I'm like, I don't know if she's going to win. I guess the other thing I was trying to think of is like, this is a tough year for, like, we've talked about, like, there's a lot of actresses, maybe not as strong in terms of like the performances as yours. I don't even know if that's true, but it just doesn't, it's like, it remains a very crowded category, but maybe not as strong as previous years, right? In terms of like what could get in. That said, I'm like, it just feels like they're like for Mikey, I was like, what is her package of precursor wins, do you think? That would make you feel
She
like
can
she could
still win
win.
the Globe.
So Globes is definitely in play, right? And she could easily win against, like Carlos Sevilla Gascon would be obviously like the other
Yeah. And
top
then
contender
like
there.
Critics' Choice would copy paste.
Okay. And then like
And,
what
and
critics
and then it's the industry awards
and the
because
industry awards.
those are not industry awards, so
Right.
Globes and Critics' Choice. So I mean, I don't know about BAFTA. I think SAG is possible because it is a crowd pleasing film.
It's a broad mainstream in some ways it's a broad mainstream comedy.
Yes.
And so I think she could win SAG. It feels like she could win SAG. I'd agree. I don't know if she can win BAFTA.
Yeah.
And so then who would win BAFTA?
I don't know.
So I'm just like, I guess like there's certainly like a world where she should win Best Actress. I was like, but I'm just not super sure if that's going to come through based
But
on
that's
how
why
this
it's
year showed
fun.
up.
Like, what if there's a different winner at every place? That'd
So
be
they're
great.
really so she wins at the Globes, and let's say like Angelina wins at the Globes. At BAFTA, it's Marianne Jean Baptiste, and at SAG, it's
If
Carlos Sofia
only.
Gas, and SAG is Carlos Sofia Gascon. So you go into the Oscars with all four of them with an acting win.
And then Nicole Kidman will win. Great.
So I, that's definitely within. I think that's not inconceivable to imagine.
I mean, that's basically what happened 4 years ago with, and then
Hmm.
Francis ended up
So she
winning.
had the Best Picture winner.
Yeah. What if Mikey has the Best Picture winner?
Well, what if The Brutalist is Best Picture?
Well, there's no lead
I
actress.
know. So then who gets it? Like if Amelia Perez wins Best Picture, I think Carlos V.
It would just be
Gaston.
depend, yeah, it would depend on like who, like the edge will go to who wins one or both of the industry awards,
Okay,
because those are the people actually voting.
maybe Marianne Jean Baptiste wins Best Actress then.
That would thrill Mike Lee.
I like I said, I think Mikey's a top contender though, and like you said, certainly one of the most likely people, if anybody, this year to get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, like, this is why this race is so much better in a lot of ways than the last 2 years when we just had like, a top two
Right,
and we just knew like everyone else was playing for third through fifth,
right.
basically. So here, like, I could easily imagine Mikey winning, and I could easily imagine like Nicole winning, or someone else we haven't even named yet.
It could be Mikey winning or Mikey finishing like not that they release vote totals, but like what our perception would be like third.
Yeah.
It's like there's a big spread. Uh, we mentioned Sean Baker for director. He feels honestly pretty safe for a nomination in another category that is very flexible.
Yeah. I mean, the Academy uh, has not been huge Sean Baker fans,
No,
so this will be his Oscar breakthrough.
to be fair, I don't think any of those movies in a million years would have ever been Oscar breakthroughs.
No, but obviously a lot of people were disappointed with the Florida
Sure.
Project's failure to get more than one nomination.
Right. This feels just like a big leap forward for him from Florida Project. As someone who likes his movies, I think this is like clearly his best movie.
It's definitely his most broad appealing
Yes.
and accessible. So, like, you can, if you've seen his previous work, you can understand why they
I
haven't
think it's
gone
like,
for
I
it.
mean, like Red Rocket got paid dust, obviously, but I was like, this is like very much in conversation with that film and as exciting to me as that film in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think he'll be in, I think he's like, again, that category could go in a million different ways too, but I feel like he's safe as well. Like Sean Baker
Yeah,
marked safe.
yeah. That's another one that's kind of hard to fill out, but I think he's safe there. What again, whether or not he wins, different story. Like he could be like Anora could win Best Picture without him winning director, and he could just win screenplay.
When it came out at I think I had that at one point where I was like, what if it wins Best Picture and he won't? I think that was when I had Ridley winning Best Director choice.
Of course you did.
The other thing I want to talk about Anora before we move on to our SAG picks is let's say it's as strong as shit, right? Like it won Cannes for a reason. It played well with that jury, which was like a great. I think that jury feels like representative of what like the new Academy is because you have like Greta Gerwig and Lily Gladstone and like all these different people and like voices. All of them really responded to the film. So I'm like, this maybe is like indicative of its strength. And let's say it's a steamroller and it could actually win Best Picture and it's top two for Best Picture. Does it get? And we said like it's going to get picture director, actress, screenplay, maybe editing. Those five. If it expanded out beyond in the acting categories, I was hoping Mark Edelstein or Yura Borisov would get in, but both of them feel like they deserve to be in, and I don't think both of them would get in. So do you imagine like who
I
would
mean,
be?
I have Yura right now.
You have him in,
Yeah, I told you I put him in last week.
so you think he would get in? Like he's the one who gets in?
I just put him in because like why not?
Well, yeah, in that category, another category. Just stop me if we've said this before. Hard to fill out and plenty of flexibility. It seems based on how some of these other movies have performed.
Yeah. So I think if the film really takes off, and people really like it, like he could coattail.
So
Like I think like Mark is the more obvious supporting actor. But if you like real ones know, if you watched a movie, I think a lot of people will fall in love with Yura by the end.
he's the heart and soul of the movie, Joyce.
Yeah. I also
I,
did it because he was sold out 100 to 1. So I'm like, I'm just gonna, why not?
so Mark, I had in for a hot second, and I think he's like the flashy role, the Russian Timothy Chalamet. Like you're like this guy is hilarious, but
Don't
he
say that
also
to Club Chalamet, okay?
I know it should be the Russian Tom Holland. Uh, he does disappear from a big chunk of the movie,
Yeah. I mean, it's
and
supporting.
it is, but like yours like got way more. Yours way more depth with Mikey and Enora, the character, than
Yeah.
Mark
And
does.
then Karen Karagulian is
Yeah,
also great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All these guys are great, and it will lead nicely into the SAG conversation, I think, because I was like, I really do think this is one of the best ensembles of the year.
Yeah, so that was my other thing since I have not updated these since September 10th, and I've since seen Anora since then. I did not have Anora in Ensemble on September 10th. And now
Yes,
I'm like, I want to put it in because that's a great ensemble.
so I put it in. I had it in, and I kept it in. So should we transition to our SAG picks then, Joyce?
So what do you have?
Okay, so we're doing our SAG picks. If you're just tuning in, here are our SAG Award film picks, and we're gonna do, Joyce. We talked about this, a special episode, I believe, next week, where we'll do TV SAG predictions and Golden Globe predictions for all our
Yeah, for our TV
for
fans.
the real ones.
Yeah, the real
The
ones.
real ones know TV.
Yeah, real ones no TV. TV's great.
So here's what I got for SAG, and I gotta say I'm not convinced this is right. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But this is what I came up with for the ensemble. I have Amelia Perez, Sing Sing, The Brutalist, Anora, and Conclave.
Okay. So I don't know what to do here because like I said, I have to do this live. Um, so do you want to hear what I put in on September 10th?
Of course.
So on September 10th, I put in Amelia, Saturday Night, Sing Sing, Conclave, and the piano lesson.
Great. That 100% makes sense.
Yeah. Um, Now I don't know, like what should I drop, basically?
So, okay. So I actually did not have The Brutalist in.
I know, and I kind of want to do because like again, I've since seen The Brutalist since September 10th, and that's also a great ensemble. Joe Alwyn. Let's
And
get him in.
I think I think it could get in because I think it's a movie actors will really love, filled with actors who I think they like.
Yeah.
And so I put it in instead of Saturday Night. my thing with Saturday Night is I love this movie. I think it's great, and I will not besmirch the movie because I do think it's still good. But it's got the most cast, but I don't know if it's like this is weird, but I'm like, is it as like it's ensemble but I'm like, is it like Anora feels more ensemble to me than Saturday Night because it
Because
really
it's very
relies.
vignette-y. Saturday Night is very vignette-y.
It's very vignette and like in terms of like what usually like I guess this I mean my thing is like that's like it's like a lot of it's the most actors. They all have title cards. But like as an ensemble, it really is like Gabe's show and then Gabriel LaBelle as Lorne and then everybody kind of orbiting around him. Whereas Nora, even though Mikey is like obviously the lead and it's like Mikey Madison is Nora as like the title card basically, the movie is really ensemble in terms of like the actors together are what make it work so well because they're in so many scenes together, right? And same with the Brutalist. So I was like, I kind of just think maybe Saturday Night falls out. The other one I was thinking would drop would be Conclave, but I think Conclave is like right meat and potatoes SAG style stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think what might be a bigger issue for Saturday Night is um that there just might not be a lot of interest in it.
So
It
that's the other.
opened this past weekend on the 49th anniversary of its premiere
Yes.
of the date it depicts in the
Yes.
film. I was already in limited for a couple weeks. Did not do too well.
Now, I hate harping on box office because, like we said, it doesn't really matter. But
No, but you want something slightly positive to talk about, you know?
and it had the great per screen average like in the opening the first
Yes.
weekend but it was limited. Here's the thing. Saturday Night had to be positioned as the crowd pleaser, the movie that audiences love.
Yes.
If audiences aren't seeing it, you can't be the crowd pleaser.
Yeah. And the thing is like I think most audiences would like it if they see it.
It's great.
But there it doesn't seem like there's a lot of interest right now. Maybe there'll be a lot of interest in the nom-com. I don't know.
Who can say? And that's why I'm like torn on whether to keep it in. But I was like, it feels like a red herring to me because it's so obviously like a SAG ensemble movie. And it's a great movie. And like I said, I think anybody who sees it actually would enjoy it. I've seen like people who enjoy it who feel like they're not allowed to enjoy it have to come up with like excuses for why it's not
It's
as
because
good.
it's not cool to like the movie on film Twitter.
You're not allowed to like the movie. It's not cool to like it. I guess you're allowed to do anything, but it's not cool to like it. So you have to be like, it's fun at the time, but it really has nothing to say. Which I'm just like, who? It has to say what it has to say, which is that like, hey, wasn't this crazy? Fun time. Like that's all it is. It's like movies don't have to say anything beyond what they're saying. Anyway, all that being said, I was like, I could see it missing here unless like the nom-com is like super into it. It's also a lot of young actors, and I wonder if that's like a
I don't
detriment.
think that matters. And
Okay.
also like SAG is big. Like a lot of these actors have been around too, so they've worked
Yeah,
with
no, I
a
know.
lot of
Like
people.
Lamorne Morris, obviously, is like
So,
Nicholas Braun.
okay. So I'm gonna do Amelia, Sing Sing, Anora, Conclave, and The Brutalist.
Oh, so we
So
have
I
the same
dropped
five.
Saturday Night and Piano Lesson. So Piano Lesson feels very saggy. Um, but like we talked about last week, if it feel right now it feels buzzless, even though no one hates the movie.
I think so, and I think that's a tough one. I think it could easily get in here. I would actually, if I was going to drop, I feel like Nora should get in, and I think it would play well to SAG voters. And I think the play is like whatever Parasite style, basically, right? Like that kind of thing where it's like this is a great group together, and I think the Brutalist is like almost undeniable. And then so I'm like maybe Conclave drops out and then the piano lesson is in or Saturday Night. But I
What
don't know.
about Gladiator 2?
So we haven't seen it yet. We're seeing it next week. It's very possible, I would say. If it's good, I think it can get in. Same with like Dune Part 2. But these don't feel like traditional ensembles to
I don't
me.
think Dune Part 2 would get in.
Just has the most famous people. That's all.
Yeah. I mean the first Gladiator got in.
I mean, I think Gladiator could get in
Different time,
very
but
easily, and I would drop Conclave. I'm not high on Conclave's strength.
well, it's also not out yet, but I think it will have a lot of fans, I think.
I mean, it definitely would play well like down the middle.
Yes.
So I'll keep it in. And I have Amelia Prize winning, even though it's not a big ensemble. It profiles to me as a SAG ensemble winner.
I mean, I don't know if it will win either, but I have it in first. And it could win this without winning Best Picture. So
100%. I think Sing Sing would be also be a very likely winner here.
yeah, they're bringing Sing Sing back,
They are.
A24.
Good
Yeah.
for them. They're doing
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
We've talked about this. I've seen people question like why a lot of questions I see on the YouTube comments, Joyce, are why we think September 5 is going to do good. And then why are we still on Sing Sing? And I'm like, we'll say this again and again. When you talk to people who've seen Sing Sing, Sing Sing's their favorite movie.
Yeah.
And so I think the power of the movie is undeniable for those who like it. And
Yeah. It's not going to be everyone's favorite movie,
no,
but the ones who love it, love it.
it wasn't our favorite movie.
Yeah.
I liked it fine.
Yeah. Solid
They're
movie.
bringing it back. I think they had an Academy screening,
Yeah. Over the weekend.
not a dry eye in the house kind of
No. And
thing.
then they're gonna, yeah, that was in New York and they're gonna hit up LA next week. So
I mean, they're doing it.
yeah.
So I think that could win too. And it would be a cool win because it's about actors. So why wouldn't it be like a leg up?
It's about acting.
Yeah, it really is, right? I mean, like both of the like Amelia Price and Sing Sing could both win this and not win Best Picture.
Yes.
But they do profile as like the SAG ensemble winners that we've seen in the past. For actress choice, here's
Hmm.
what I have. Uh, I don't know. I I have Carlos Sevilla Gascon for Amelia Press, Mikey Madison for Anora, Angelina Jolie for Maria, Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl, and Amy Adams for Night Bitch.
Because SAG loves her so much.
Correct. SAG Queen Amy Adams.
Okay, I don't know what to do. So on September 10th, I had Mikey, Carla, Nicole, Angie, and Saoirse.
Okay.
I could keep this. This could legitimately happen, but I feel like it won't.
So here's what I was torn with as you're deciding live. We could just ignore the top three. That is like in cement to me. Carla, Mikey, Angelina, and whatever order you want to put them in, they are all getting nominated to me. So the bottom two, to me, realistically, is between Nicole for Baby Girl, Amy Adams for Night Bitch, Saoirse Ronan for The Outrun, and I do think Demi Moore for The
Well, I
Substance.
was gonna like put her in.
So that's the four. And I think you could take any number of that, any one of those, two of those four, and put them in. I only put Amy in because she's had so much success with SAG. I think Nicole would be pretty safe, especially because they've changed. Like they'll see the movie, and like I just think Nicole's gonna be making it through this season as we kind of keep going. So then it's Amy and Night Bitch versus Demi and The Substance. So I went with Amy because of her SAG track record. And I think Saoirse and Outrun feels like a SAG performance to me too. And they'll
That's
probably
another
play.
movie that's like similar to Saturday Night. Just not it's been out for over a week now. Just not a lot of eyeballs on
No.
it.
So I think Demi would be a cool nominee. But also, like we talked about, I wonder how many people think
I'm just wondering, like, I think it might be very popular with like SAG-AFTRA as a whole, maybe, but with the nom-com, would they how many people I mean, we don't know who's in a nom-com. Like how many people in the nom-com are
I think
going
one of
for
the
it?
things that I feel like with the substance that has to its advantage is that it's so over the top at the end that when it gets disgusting, it's like not upsetting as much as it could be. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're like, I think we were like, the idea is, oh, they'll never watch this movie because it's so gross or
It's
horrifying.
not really that gross.
And it's like most of the movie is not like that gross. And then at the end, it goes from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. And you're like, oh, this is absolutely absurd. And like, it kind of like, it doesn't rob it of the power of the movie because I think the message of the movie is really great, but it does make it feel like you're not watching something that's like totally, it's not like Saw. You know what I mean? It's not like
No.
Hostel. It's like a satire that's very firmly a satire. So I don't know. I think she can make it in, but I was just like, I think Amy Adams has a better track record with SAG, so obviously, like, I'm gonna put her in.
I, I don't know. Um, I think I'm gonna do Amy for
That's the top
now.
five of the
Also,
odds.
because I think it's a top five because there's probably a lot of people who haven't updated since September 10th, like me too. Um, but I think, yeah, like the message of Amy's film, I feel like would also maybe be as resonant, if not more, as the message of Demi's film.
Correct.
And
They're both
hers,
message movies,
yeah, they're both message movies. Um, about and for women.
and about how it sucks being a woman.
Yes. And I feel like Amy's might also be her film might also be a little more palatable for people who are not into the substance.
Correct. I also think Demi is not. We talked about this a little. Demi's not taken as seriously as an actor.
Yeah.
Not rightly. I think that's wrong, but I do think that's the perception. She was a movie star, not an actress when she was
I feel
famous.
like that might be a factor more at the Oscars than at SAG, you
Sure,
know?
sure.
So, but
Uh, Neither one of us are Mary and Jean Baptiste. I would never, in a minute, no
no, I would
disrespect.
never even I have her at the Oscars. I never even thought about her for this.
Let me give you two people I did think about for SAG based on their track records and the basicness of what I think a SAG voter would like. Zendaya for Challengers and Cynthia Erivo for Wicked.
I mean, Wicked TBD, not out yet. Zendaya, like maybe, but I feel like there are more options
Yeah,
above her.
yeah,
So, I mean, I now have her getting into the Globes because the
me
movie's
too.
going comedy musical. So I didn't have her getting into drama when it was in drama.
Same. Uh, and then I have Carla winning this, but we'll see. Obviously, Mikey's first in the odds. Uh, for actor, Joyce, this one's fun. I have the top four in the odds, but in different order. I have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, and Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. And then I have Glenn Powell for Hitman.
Of course you do. Okay. So last month I had Adrian Coleman, Rafe, Timmy, and John David Washington for the piano lesson
Sure.
as like a SAG only
Yeah, makes
nomination.
sense.
I don't know what you do now.
Well, Daniel Craig is fifth in the odds to show you how few people have updated.
I never even like when I still had Daniel Craig in my Oscar predictions before I even saw Queer, I never even considered him for SAG.
Seems very unsag like. Next up is Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice.
I would love to see it.
Seems possible based on SAG.
Yes, they love a transformation.
They hate Trump,
Yes.
presumably,
Hmm.
in the aggregate. They
Yes.
love a transformation.
Hmm.
They love a biopic.
Yes.
So I feel like he's a safe bet, maybe to get in.
Yeah, I'm actually debating between him for Apprentice, not a different man, um, and Paul Mescal.
So besides Glenn, the other person I thought it was Paul Mescal for Gladiator 2. Feels very possible to me. Big movie, guy people like, but finally in like a mainstream thing.
Hmm.
I
And
went
he
with
doesn't need to
Glenn.
get the Oscar nomination.
I don't think
So,
he'll get the Oscar nomination. I still have Sebastian at the Oscars, even though the movie flopped.
but it was also, I think, you know what, given everything the movie went through and the trouble it had getting distribution, um, and how that curtailed the marketing and everything, I think you, everyone should be grateful and happy with how it did perform. I don't like it was never going to do exponentially well anyway.
It didn't
You
do
know,
much worse than Saturday night.
yes.
And
So,
Trump tweeted about it or
yeah, this
talked
morning we're
about it.
recording this on Monday. So,
So Trump posted his review, which I felt like was like great marketing for the movie.
yeah, and Ali Abbasi just keeps, retweeting everything. He's like, "Thanks for the free publicity." So,
I still think Sebastian Stan can get into the Oscars. I don't think it has like flop sweat baked into it yet. And I think he definitely can get it at SAG. It feels like very SAG friendly.
yeah.
The reason I went with Glenn is because they love Netflix stuff and they've seen this movie. And I think he is like a good, like young actor made good kind of. He worked really, you know what I mean? Like worked so hard, uh, kind of made it happen for himself. It just feels like the right kind of story. And I just feel like he could get in for this.
If I put in Seb, I'll have the same 5 that I
Have it the
currently
Oscars.
have at the Oscars, which is possible
Sure.
because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
It happened not last year. So, um, I don't know.
I'm ready to love Gladiator too, as you know. And I'm all for Paul getting in everywhere. Let's do it. Fuck it. But I'm just not doing it right now.
What about the Timmy of it all? Like we all just like have him in there. No questions asked.
So I was wondering this. Like, movie comes out Christmas. It's
Yes.
not doing any festival stuff. Well, I'm sure they'll do like Nightmare Alley style. We compared what did we compare to Nightmare Alley last week?
Oh, Blitz.
Nightmare Alley style screenings where it's like December 1st and we get the invite and they're doing it like Lincoln Center or something. Searchlight rolling out the red
They'll
carpet.
do it in Jersey.
Maybe they'll do something in Jersey. Uh and we're all just writing them in.
Yeah. Like again, like no questions asked. We just
No
have him in.
questions asked.
Yeah.
Biopic, does his own singing, previous nominee.
Playing Bob Dylan.
Like, there's no reason for him not to get in unless they just don't care about the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could easily see. I feel like no matter what, he would
Or
get
what
in
if
at
it's like
SAG.
it's like too late for the nom. I mean, it depends on like how fast they get them screeners and like do screenings.
So if he
Um,
misses here, like to me, this is the most SAG. Like of all the places where he could register, SAG would make the most sense, even if it's not good.
yeah.
So if he doesn't make it here, I actually think it's because they didn't get it there, which we'll find
I
out in
mean,
hindsight.
like we talked about, I don't know, last week or a couple weeks ago, like the voting period covers the holidays.
Yes. So they
So
should be able to do it.
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, we just all have him in there, like safely ensconced in 4th place.
If he doesn't get it in, then sure. I mean, I don't know. I think he would absolutely get it at SAG, though. Just feels like the most obvious SAG performance to me.
I'm gonna I'll do Seb.
Okay.
No, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
Seb feels very likely too.
He's had
Um,
a great year.
anyone else?
I don't know.
No. Moving on. Supporting actress, another hilarious category, Joyce. Here's what I have. Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, Daniel Deadweiler for The Piano Lesson, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Natasha Lyonne for His Three Daughters, and Saoirse Ronan for Blitz.
Okay. So last month I had Zoe, Danielle, Selena, Felicity, and Natasha. I don't know.
You gonna change it?
I want to, but I also don't know what I want to change.
So I dropped Selena basically
Okay.
for Saoirse.
Okay.
We've seen Blitz. The world a lot of people have seen Blitz, not the world yet. See it on Apple TV Plus while you're looking at your phone over Thanksgiving weekend. Uh, it just feels like it'll appeal so well to basics and like normies, and I think she'll make it in here with that crowd. And Selena, I'm not sure. I think she'll get at the Oscars, but I think she would miss here.
I think she has a better shot of getting here than at the
That's
Oscars.
funny.
I mean, she could get double nominations between this and Only Murders.
True.
Or I guess quadruple nominations if you count Ensemble too. Um, yeah, Saoirse, I don't know what to do with her because yes, I agree she could easily get in here. A maternal role. Uh, very just kind of like the movie and like the plot is very simple, and she plays it very well. There's just not a lot for her to work with, but what she does is great. She sings. Um, I guess I'm just like she's gonna presumably be a filler nominee, and I guess like is Apple strong enough to kind of position her that way? Because they've had like obviously Lily Gladstone, who was top two in Best Actress. Um, and then, like Troy Kotsur was winning supporting actor. Um, I mean, I guess you could say Robert De Niro was like a filler in a way for Flower Moon, right? Um, but he was like solidly in everywhere, and I don't know if Saoirse would be solidly in everywhere for Blitz. And they couldn't do it for Leo for Flower Moon because people just didn't like that performance.
I I kind of thought this. I was like, yeah, I mean, I would say this. No disrespect to Blitz, which I think was a fine movie. 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd choice.
It's
And
it's like the most 3 out of 5 movie. It's like aggressively fine.
I think she's got way more to do in the outrun.
Yes, the Outline
And
is by far her better
and
performance.
she's better in the outrun. And I think she won't get into the Oscars or here at SAG for the outrun. But I think that will no doubt help her get in for Blitz. I think it's just is like this is like this is not a super competitive category, not to knock any of these people. And so I think she could actually make it in for Blitz here. And I still wonder what I don't have her in at the Oscars, but I was like, I would not be shocked if she actually does make it in. I have Selena Gomez and Isabella Rossellini in at the Oscars, neither of which I have here at SAG.
I don't know if I would put Isabella in here.
I, I feel
Like it's
like,
very small
yeah.
and
And
I don't know.
Natasha Lyonne feels right because of, again, maybe overestimating the SAG of it all. But I feel like Netflix, SAG, very SAG friendly movie. When I saw it over the summer, I was like, this will get in potentially even as an ensemble nominee, but I don't think that's happening now. But I do think she'll get in, even though maybe we'd argue Carrie Coon has got the stronger performance. I think Natasha feels like the right nominee here.
I think I'll keep this. No changes. I don't know. It's because I need like I feel like I should have something that doesn't align completely or mostly with my Oscar lineup.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I did try to do. Also, I could see Danielle Deadwyler-Streb winning here at SAG, but I don't think she will. And I still question whether she'll get in at the Oscars, but I think she's very strong to get in at SAG.
Yeah, I mean, I still have her at the Oscars, but I think
Yeah,
we talked about this last week in our mailbag, right? Like I think
yes.
she's shaky there as a potential lone nominee.
I
So,
put her in fifth place in my Oscar picks. No, not because of any other reason than like we said, as a potential lone nominee
which is what she was for Till, you know.
against movies with supporting actresses where they're in movies that are strong Best Picture contenders. Feels tough.
Yeah. Um, and then so Ingenue Ellis Taylor, she didn't get in, shockingly did not get in for King Richard at SAG.
So
I don't think she'll make it in for Nickel Boys.
she didn't get in for King Richard, which is like meat and potatoes right down the middle.
Yes.
I mean,
And
it
she got
would
in
be
the
a
Oscars, obviously.
I would really be surprised if she got in for Nickel Boys.
I think, have you mentioned this online or just like in real life? Like, I think um Nickel Boys would be a tough sell to SAG just because of the way the POV style, it doesn't really highlight the actors,
Right.
you know? So,
Let me give you another name. Toni Collette, juror number two, our favorite movie.
why not?
What about Carrie Coon?
I don't know. I feel like because his three daughters is already so low profile, I'm not gonna rock the boat
Okay.
on that. Because like they're obviously prioritizing Natasha.
Yeah. And finally, Joyce, supporting actor. Uh, Here's what I got? Question mark? I don't know. Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain. Denzel Washington for Gladiator 2. Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. And Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing.
Is that just your Oscar lineup?
It might be. I still have Clarence into the Oscars. I almost dropped him here, but I think he actually makes more sense as a SAG nominee
Well, now
than
that, A24 is bringing it back,
I
that's
just
a
feel
good
like he makes more sense as a SAG nominee than he does elsewhere. I guess I could drop Jeremy, but he also made sense to me as a SAG nominee.
one. So last month I had Kieran, Clarence, Guy, Samuel Jackson, and Denzel, which could happen.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I want to drop Sam, but I don't know for who. Like, I don't, I wouldn't put in an Anora guy, I don't think, even though I have Yura at, which is just like a goof almost at the Oscars.
If Nora gets in here as a supporting actor, I think it'll win Best Picture. That's basically it. If it's strong enough to get in
Um,
SAG, an extra acting nomination.
I mean, Stanley Tucci's in fourth.
Hey, people love the Tooch choice.
They do. Like, he could get in here or not at the Oscars too.
I, I just think again, as that movie gets more broadly seen, none of these guys stand out. So I don't think any of them will get in.
Um, Jeremy Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown.
It's a
Not in the
complete
trailer a
unknown.
lot.
He has a voice though. He's doing a
He
voice.
does. Yeah. I'll look at double Harris Dickinson back to back here.
He's so great in Blitz. He has so much to do.
Yeah, as much as he has to do in the Baby Girl trailer. So, there's Ray Fisher for the piano lesson.
I mean, that'd be awesome. He's so good in it.
Hmm.
Uh, Peter Sarsgaard for September 5.
That whole cast is great.
I don't think
So
it's
I
unlikely.
think like I know he's still at 100 to 1, but I think he's higher than like John Magaro because he's more famous and like
Right.
known.
And he's also potentially a nominee for Presumed Innocent,
Do you
which we'll
have
do
him in
next
for
week.
Presumed Innocent? I don't know. I think
Pedro
it made
Pascal.
more sense for me to have Sam when I still had piano lesson in ensemble.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Come to Jeremy country. You already have
What do I
seven.
want to do like double apprentice here? I mean, I could do Jeremy. I could replace Euro with Jeremy at the Oscars too.
I mean, I have Jeremy at the Oscars now. I have both of them at the Oscars. I only have
Remember when they
Jeremy
snubbed
here.
him for Succession?
I know.
Um, all right, I'll do Jeremy. I don't know. This is how deeply I think about it. I don't.
So we have both have Kieran winning, I'd imagine, maybe, or at least in first right now, most likely be nominated. Uh, do you think a real pain could get an ensemble nomination?
Probably not. I mean, like there are great supporting actors in it, like Jennifer Grey, um, and Will Sharp, like the tour group. But I think it's still kind of seen as a two-hander.
Hmm.
Um, and I think like, I'm sure a lot of people are not predicting The Brutalist in Ensemble because it feels like one of those movies that would get individual nominations but miss Ensemble. Um, which I guess could still happen. But
It
I
could.
do kind of feel like once you watch the movie, and who knows, maybe not enough people will watch a 3.5 hour movie, but there is like a lot more actors in the movie than the three that everyone is predicting to get individual nominations.
And they stand out.
Yeah.
Joe Alwyn, Raffi Cassidy,
Yeah.
Alessandro Nivola.
Hmm.
You remember these people in the movie.
Yeah.
And even though it's like being positioned as the Adrian show, I do think it is very much an ensemble-ish group to me.
Do you have Adrian in first or Coleman?
I'm looking, hang on. I have Adrian first.
So the interesting thing with him is that I think a lot of people who are arguing against his potential Oscar win is that he's already won an Oscar, which we know they don't care about
No.
at all. Um, but he won that Oscar for The Pianist without winning any of the precursors, the televised precursors.
My personal opinion is when we get into these televised shows, he's just going to win everything. It's going to be like
Yeah,
a
he could easily
no-brainer.
sweep. Yeah, like he could also dominate like the trifecta, the Critics Awards, the big three.
So like I always harp on New York Film Critics Circle because I know people in it, and I have not talked to any of those people I know. But of these actors that we have mentioned, last year they had what's his face from who won last year?
Oh, from what was it called? Passages,
Yes.
right? Um,
Wow. People are gonna be so mad at us. Franz Rogowski.
yes.
I remembered his name, I just couldn't think of it. I kept thinking Nicholas Rogowski, and I had to look it up. Franz Rogowski.
Listen,
One.
I remember the movie, so
You got the movie. I got the guy at the end after I Googled him. Anyway, point being, none of these the only to me literally like to me the only actor who profiles as like a critics group winner is Adrian Brody from this group. Not just New York, but like LA and like
mhm.
MDR. Like I don't know. Daniel Craig
National
maybe will win one of
Society.
those.
Daniel Craig?
I think he could. I think even if
I don't
like a
know.
critics group, I think like LA could give it to him. People like certain
Well, I
critics
mean,
like him.
LA, remember, they have their dual
Sure.
winners. So,
All I'm saying is like I think you're right. Like he could really Adrian Brody could really just steamroll.
yeah. And I don't even think it's like because it's been 22 years since his Oscar win. So I don't even think for like the Globes or SAG, um, they're thinking like, oh, we didn't give it to him last time, 22 years ago. We can do it now. I don't think it's even about that.
No.
Because it's like probably a complete different membership now, or like mostly different, like that's a whole college graduate of, of
We were
an
talking like about like who's like sweeper potential this year. And like to me, honestly, like he feels the like truly like he feels the most like Devon Joy Randolph kind of where it just is like everybody's just gonna go, oh, of course he'll just win. Like there's not enough other competition here in the category. I don't think seriously. And yeah, I don't know. I could just see him steamrolling. So I have him in first. Coleman Domingo would make sense. Before I saw the Brutalist, I had Coleman Domingo in first. Um, but I don't think
I
I
mean, I
think
could see like Coleman winning SAG, but Adrian still winning the Oscar.
I mean I'd be more inclined to say Sing Sing would win ensemble than Coleman individual as an actor.
I mean, it could be like Emma and Lily.
Yeah.
last year. Like because like Sing Sing is just, it's more for basics than the Brutalist. Although I do think basics would enjoy the Brutalist if they give it a chance. Like, don't be alarmed by the runtime.
Yeah, but I think Brody could be like the real runaway because every other category, I mean, Zoe Saldana, obviously, people would say is also like a televised winner, but I don't think she's going to win a lot of the critics groups myself.
No, I don't think she would win like the big three of it. Like she'll probably win a lot of regionals.
I think she could win at the Globes. I think she'll win at SAG, and like there, she could lose BAFTA maybe, but maybe not. And supporting actor, I think Kieran is well positioned to win. And I just keep trying to figure out if I want to put a real pain in for Best Picture.
I do, but I don't know what to drop for it yet. So,
Same. I don't want to drop Blitz or Nickel Boys.
and I have some of them at 100 to 1, so I'm like,
Hmm.
um, I mean, I think I have Nickel Boys at 100 to 1.
I don't want to drop either of those. I guess
There's
I would
just not enough
drop
room.
Gladiator 2 in September 5 and Sing Sing, or I have 6, 7, 8, basically. I could see one of them missing.
Oh yeah, for like I mean, I'm talking about yeah, anything in my
Bottom 5.
bottom four really. Because I think Anora, Brutalist, Amelia, Conclave, Dune, and Sing Sing
Like
are in.
we're when we're banking on September 5, for me at least, not to speak for you, it's because I've seen Spotlight win Best Picture. I've seen Argo win Best Picture. It's very similar to those movies and very good. But
Yeah.
if it didn't get nominated, I wouldn't be surprised. And it won't have like A Real Pain maybe has the leg up because I think it has like the front runner actor, where September 5
Yeah, and
doesn't.
it has Searchlight behind it.
And
But
yeah,
yeah, it's a really well-made movie, and I do think people are skeptical of it because it sort of like came out of nowhere,
right.
and people weren't expecting it, and it didn't get like masterpiece reviews. It's not like The Brutalist where you're like, I gotta take it seriously. So I know some people, one person has it winning Best Picture. I don't think that's gonna happen, but like we're having trouble filling out a 10. It's not inconceivable for it to get in a
But I guess
field
you
of
could argue
10.
is like one person has it in first. Uh, to me, the reason I also think it should get in is similar. Like even though I think it's at the bottom, like it's in the bottom tier here for me. And
Yeah.
then we could wrap up here because we're going off topic. But I would just say, in terms of number 5, I was like,
I mean, what if it gets Ensemble? It could get
it could
Ensemble.
get Ensemble, which I think is very within its reach. Like we said when we walked out, I was like, this is a great ensemble. Everybody's so good and they all work so well together. Um, One of the arguments for keeping Nickel Boys for both of us is that, boy, it's not for everybody. But the people who like it are loving it, right? Like there's a group of people who really love it, and it's like the arty movie. Similar to September 5, I think the people who love it will have great passion for it.
I
And I
also
think
think it has more like um as a bigger reach than Nickel Boys does. I think a
does.
lot more people, even if it's not your favorite movie of the year, I think it's very hard to dislike the film. And I think if you haven't seen the movie or you just read like a very simple log line about the movie, I think there are a lot of preconceived notions about the movie, and it's not what you think it is. This is about the coverage of
Right.
a notorious incident at the Olympics. It's
Correct.
not about the actual incident.
And
So,
then no disrespect to Real Pain, which I think is a solid movie, but I just feel like it won't have as much passion behind it as the people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't. I think people would ever like Real Pain feels like a very likable movie that nobody's going to be like this sucked, and I really don't like it. But I don't think everybody's going to be like that's my favorite movie. Whereas September 5, I think you could see people being like that was my favorite movie. So that's why I don't want
yeah.
to put it in place of a Real Pain and in place of September 5, I guess.
I mean, like A Real Pain, but I think it's the kind of movie that sneaks up on you. Like you might not consider it your favorite,
Right.
or it's not like very obvious that you like it as much as you do, but maybe when you're filling out your list and you're like running out of things, you're like, oh, I really did like A Real Pain a lot. So I'm
That's
gonna
true
write
too.
it down and vote for it. How many people do you think will actually fill out all 10?
This year, not a lot. Uh, Joyce, we're going to wrap it up here. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. We'll read your emails tomorrow on our mailbag episode, Friday. And then
Yes.
next week we'll come back with our SAG and Golden Globes TV picks, which are chaos incarnate for me.
That's another one where I haven't looked at them since 6 weeks ago, so it'll be great.
It's gonna be so much fun. All right, Joyce. Talk to you then. Bye.